aggressively on behalf of the district. She's been in meetings, private meetings, offline meetings, in discussions with others, with her peers in the area, and discussing, just talking about opportunities that lend themselves to coming together of various services, activities, and whether or not that those coming together pieces can in fact save dollars or achieve other things like just create a better image. She's already kicked up internally morale and image building. So all of those things are in fact going on now and happening in discussions with other superintendents. So I couldn't be more pleased with how that part is going. And I think there'll come a time, like real soon, when she will be laying out some of those things that are being discussed now in maybe a proposal way to you. At least it's my hope that that will be the case. When the governor's message on education that happened in April got a lot of play, and I've just highlighted the topics that he addressed in that address. He talked about districts in crisis, of which there are 23, and Willow Run is one of those 23. He talked about school of choice, and that and we are moving toward a point where all school districts will be schools of choice districts. College readiness, your superintendent may have talked to you about what's going on in that regard in terms of curriculum. Yes, sir.
Can I question you on the school of choice and charter schools for a moment?
Sure.
I read in the paper right alongside of us as being in financial deficit, Ypsilanti is, as well as Victory Academy right here next to us. One of the reasons that we're in financial deficit is because of students that have left us to go to charter schools, and now we have a charter school within our district that is also running at a financial deficit. What kind of remediation are they looking at, and how soon?
Normally what happens with a charter when they run into financial difficulties that cannot be overcome, they go out of business and send those students to you. They also do another thing. They will sometimes wait until after, what's the date called?
Fourth Friday.
Yeah, the reporting of the numbers, and then they receive the grant for the per student, and then somehow those students end up in your classrooms.
That's a 10-year running practice, isn't it?
Well,
that I'm aware of.
Yeah, that practice is already to the attention of some of us in the legislature, and we're looking at ways to craft. We're looking at ways to stop the practice or put something in place that would, in fact, prohibit that.
Plus, as I mentioned to you out at the ISD, or I mentioned in the meeting out at the ISD, K through 5 is the most profitable kids to begin with. They take those kids from us and then kick the high school, middle school kids back up to us after taking that additional funding from us. Is there any talk in the legislature about equalizing that?
No, not specifically. But let me just tell you, there is discussion about conformity and having charters meet the same standards that public schools have to meet. That discussion is ongoing. But as you see, the governor wants to, and he puts this in very limited terms. He wants to remove limits amendments for certain authorizers. They recognize fully that there are charters that aren't successful. They recognize that. But what to do in terms of equalizing the standards is still ongoing discussion. That's all I can tell you on that point.
Thank you.
Teacher quality and compensation and tenure is in discussion right now and fastly moving toward action in the legislature, specifically in the House. I sit on the Education Committee, and I can tell you now that bills 26, 25, 26, 27, and 28 have been, and they all relate to changes in teacher quality, compensation, and tenure, have all been moved out of committee over my objection, but they're there and will be brought up, I expect, next week or the week following. But now this I'll share with you, and haven't shared this anyplace else or with anybody else. There are a few of us who are having discussions with the leadership on the Republican side to somehow, there's this issue of teacher evaluation, and that piece is still hanging out there. The bills that I just mentioned to you are TABAR. That means they all have to go as a group. But what we're trying to do is get the evaluation piece also TABAR to those, and then try to have some impact on the evaluation piece. We are already having some impact on some of the things that are part of the teacher quality, compensation, and tenure piece. I'll mention that the tenure piece in just a few moments, if I can proceed. Dr. Youngson.
Being the oldest person in this room, being in education for 40 years, 32 years in the state of Michigan, I've been involved with a lot of reforms. The question we need to ask our governor and legislator, what research, scientific evidence they have that any of these things is going to improve our student achievement. And I'll bet you my paycheck that there is no evidence that any of these things improve our educational system. It's nothing but against public education, in my opinion. So if I was a legislator, my question is, show me evidence by expanding the use of charter school, by mandating a school of choice, show me what happens to student achievement. 25 years ago, we didn't have a school of choice. Today we have it. Is our educational system any better today than it was 25 years ago? And I submit to you, there is no evidence to prove that.
I don't know how, there's a lot embedded in what you say. I'd just like to have you know, I don't hold the answers to these, but I do make sure, and not just me, a whole lot of other people are asking those similar questions. But we simply don't have the power or the votes to do anything.
I understand.
And so what we do is where we can and where we have leverage, we negotiate. And that's a piece of a part of what's going on now. And just on the relationships and the goodwill that you try to build across the aisle, that's what's happening. So I'm going to quickly run over my 5 minutes here, so I want to just kind of move on.
You did that 10 minutes ago, don't worry.
Yeah, okay. Sorry. You'll see that there is an idea that administrators must be certified, certification and training of administrators. That's part of the evaluation piece. I'm not going to spend any time on this. Your superintendent has probably already discussed parts of what triggers an emergency management. My thing is, and I think each of you readily agree,